Hey, what's up guys? Radku here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today is going to be my first anti-meta Monday. Yeah, that's right, I'm dedicating an entire day towards anti-meta decks. So, today's video is going to be going over the top 5 anti-meta decks for this format. Now, the way I classify a deck to be anti-meta is that it specifically works best against the most competitive decks. Now, this isn't to say that they're bad against non-competitive decks, but like, for instance, there are decks like Mystic Mine, where if your opponent is playing normal monster beatdown, it's not going to affect it that much, or like if they're playing stun and you're playing normal monster beatdown, it's not going to affect it specifically because it's not a competitive or meta deck. So, with that groundwork laid, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, coming in at my number 5 is Generator. Now, this might seem really weird, like, Generator hasn't been competitively viable for at least 2 years now, and I agree with that. It hasn't been competitively viable, specifically because, one, not many people are playing it. Like, honestly, the deck gets wins, but also the thing is that with a few minor changes to a lot of the lists, you can easily make your deck competitive. And the reason I think it works specifically well against the current meta is because of the fact that we have cards like, we have the card Utagarda, which specifically is, to me, the best generator card against the current meta, specifically because it banishes. So the thing about a lot of the meta decks, especially Prank Kids, and Dragon Link, is that in order for them to get their starting plays off, they need to have a monster on the field, and then they need to send it to the graveyard somehow, whether it be with Black Metal Dragon or any of the Prank Kids monsters. So the thing is that if you can banish it, you effectively shut down Prank Kids' form of recovery, because they mainly want to add their monster back from the graveyard in order to pull off their recovery play. But also, you manage to shut down Dragon Link because you can stop them from getting their effects off. On top of the fact that we have stuff like Nidhogg, which just negates summons. Plus, we have normal cards such as Forbidden Droplets, which is actually searchable in the deck, specifically because of Condemned Witch, which furthers the plays. But honestly, the deck is super powerful, and I'd say it's a really good anti-meta deck. So coming in at number 4, we have Heroes. Now, Heroes is a really good deck right now, specifically because of Dark Law. Now, like I just said, a lot of the decks are kind of graveyard reliant, specifically Dragon Link, because of the fact that it's one of their few ways of getting their play started. Like, if you can turbo into Dark Law, you can stop Prank Kids completely, you can stop Dragon Link, you can snipe cards out of the dinosaur player's hand, and you can effectively stop Eldritch because they're not sending to the graveyard, and therefore they have no recurrence. So since this deck works specifically best against the top meta decks, it is really good right now. On top of the fact that not a lot of people are playing like, even though a lot of people are playing like Nibiru, the deck can still play really well, and they do have easy ways of playing around stuff like that, despite the fact that they don't really set up negation. So, Heroes is definitely a competitively viable list, and it's a really good anti-meta deck. So, coming in at number 3, we have Necrogoon. Specifically, to clarify, the Necro Valley Dragoon version of Necrogoon, and if that even means anything. So the thing is that Necro Valley shuts down a ton of decks this format, because it stops so many things in the graveyard. Necro Valley can effectively shut down a lot of the top decks, on top of the fact that it's going to be specifically really good against Drytron when they get that new card, because you can shut down their ways of getting effects. And they shut down prank kids, which is crazy. Basically, we've set a theme of the top decks being able to shut down the graveyard or control the field in a specific way. So that is why Necro Valley Dragoon gets my number 5 spot, or number 3 spot, specifically because it can control the graveyard as well as using Dragoon to easily control the field. So coming in at number 2, we have Unchained. Now this deck hasn't been seeing competitive relevance as of late, but the thing is that it works really, really well against the top meta decks. The deck is particularly good at breaking boards. You can easily set up a 5 disruption board because of the trap variant, and with the new cards coming out of the with the new cards coming out for Live Twin, the Live Twin Unchained variant is actually pretty good because it ups the consistency of the deck. Because one of the biggest reasons is that you would see half of your engine, but you wouldn't see the other half. So this allows you to play less useless cards and help you further your engine better while trimming down your deck. And honestly, Unchained by itself, the trap variant, is really, really good at stopping the meta because it can. One of the big things is that this format, negations don't really matter because a lot of decks can play through like a couple of negations. But the thing that makes Unchained particularly terrifying is the fact that they can use the opponent's monsters to link off, meaning that you can dodge destruction, and the deck is easily able to out plenty of cards with protection. On top of the fact that it's just really good in general at setting up big damage and going into strong cards such as Topologic Bomber Dragon, Unchained Abomination, and so on. But that is why Unchained gets my number 2 spot. But coming in at number 1, we have Zombies. So the reason I say Zombies are the best anti-meta deck right now is specifically because of the Zombie World rivalry of the Warlords lock. So this lock is insanely powerful. So Zombie World will change all the cards on the field and in the graveyard to zombie. And Rivalry of the Warlords says you can only control one type of monster, meaning that your opponent can't go into any extra deck stuff, so it shuts down prank kids. Your opponent can't do anything in terms of like link plays with Dragon Link, and Eldritch is effectively shut down because it just doesn't affect it. Like, because the Rivalry lock can stop them from summoning their trap monsters, and once they summon their lord in defense position, they can't do anything. On top of the fact that they have the most insane boss monster through Doom King Baladrock, which is to me the second best boss monster in the entire game, next to Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, specifically because they can trigger off their own effect and get free banishes on your opponent's turn, and it sets up easy negation. So honestly, Zombie World is such a good anti-meta deck, and it's just insane going into the format. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, let me know what you thought, and let me know if there's anything you would change about the list. I know I left out a lot of obvious ones like Mystic Mine or Barrier Stun, but I specifically left those out because I wanted to talk about more like different decks as opposed to stun decks, because everybody knows that stun decks can win, but I feel like we should talk about some of the more non-obvious anti-meta decks. And I seriously think that all of these cards all of these decks are really good going into the format. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you in the next Yu-Gi-Oh video. Peace, guys.